Hi, this is Steve Harper from YourCreativeLife.com, and today we're going to talk about how you should introduce yourself in a meeting or anytime you're meeting somebody in the entertainment industry, particularly in Hollywood, for the very first time. Now, one of the things that I know that you will probably come to know or are learning just now is that in certain meetings, certain executives or other writers or people throughout the industry are just going to say to you the simple but also complicated question of, who are you? Tell me about yourself, they might say. And if you don't have a good answer for that, well, that's not a good thing. You don't want to fumble and stumble and say, well, I'm from New York and I grew up in I have a brother and I went to high school here. Boring. You want to find a way to talk about yourself in a way that's galvanizing, dramatic, specific, and tells them something about who you are as a writer. So there's a formula that I use that goes like this. You should tell them and put together a story that has something that happened in your life that was factual, how that influenced your idea of what you wanted to write and what you now write, and give them an example. So story from your life, how it influences what you want to write and what you write, and an example. So here is a perfect model of that. And I'm completely making this up. This is not my story, but here is an example. You might say, when I was 12, I was in this huge car accident and I ended up in a coma and I ended up in the hospital for a month. And when I came to, I was so fascinated by both the medical system around me and my family gathering and the people in my family who are connected to the medical system, doctors and nurses, that to this day, I write about two things. Number one, people coming back into the world from almost death, and two, the medical community. And all of my original pieces are about that. So usually they start with or involve somebody who has a near-death accident or has come back from near death. And it either moves into a space of supernatural as a result of that new consciousness, or it moves into a medical space. And those are the spaces that I write from, both the supernatural related to coming back from death and the medical space of the expertise of the medical community. Now, you can see how in that short, maybe 2 or 3 minute conversation explanation of who I am, there's a lot that I have divulged there about my history, about where that leads me as an artist, and what kind of work I create out of that. And you can also imagine that if you were an executive or somebody hiring a writer, you would suddenly know, oh, he might be great for these kinds of shows, these kinds of supernatural shows, these kinds of medical shows, these kind of shows that combine the two, or other things that have to do with those relationships, those genres, those connectors. So that is the way to learn to introduce yourself. And I encourage you to jot down a bunch of things that are true from your life, figure out how they connect to the stuff that you write, create that story, and then rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. Try it out on family, friends, begin to try it in meetings. And in a very short time, you're going to have a very tight, very interesting, very compelling way to introduce yourself for all kinds of meetings and all kinds of entertainment industry encounters.